Hi, I'm Tim Scales, the Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Center for Economic Education here at Indiana University East.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to another episode of In Your Business.
We talk to local entrepreneurs, we learn about their business, we learn about why they started their business, how they started their business, some of the opportunities their businesses has provided them and their community, as well as some of the hurdles they've gone through, some of the challenges. Welcome to another episode of In Your Business. It's a show where we always have the opportunity to talk to an entrepreneur and kind of get to know their background, a little bit about their business, and kind of understand what goes on out in the market. You know, entrepreneurship is a lot of fun, it's exciting. I always enjoy it because it's the people. It's what the people are doing. It's bringing their ideas to the market and how they share those markets with us, the consumers. So today we're going to meet with Beth Leisure, and we're going to understand what it is that she does. Beth's got an interesting position in the fact that she has her own small business and she has her full-time job. So we're going to get to know Beth a little bit, going to find out the background and find out what it is you're doing. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So Beth, let's talk about you to start with. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, your background, growing up, what your ideas, your thoughts were. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs, they evolve. We don't realize it. We don't even think about being an entrepreneur, and then one day it's happening. But what was your background like growing up? What were you thinking?
That's a lot of what happened to me. I grew up in a small town, and I've always had jobs and been a worker ever since I was in 6th grade. I babysat and I did things like that, and even in high school I worked for a local casket company my senior year, and I thought I would probably become a nurse or a hairdresser or something like that, you know. And my husband just always had this drive to have his own business, and he worked on appliances and things like that. So it did evolve to the point where we just decided, hey, I think we can do this. And so he became the worker and I became the office person, you know, and that's how it all started. And it's evolved from there.
And your background, as far as when you were in school and such, what were you studying? What were you thinking you were going to be?
I studied business in school.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We had great business teachers at, I went to Lincoln High School, and we had a great group of teachers there that really taught us a lot.
Okay, so you grew up in this region. So you're from Western Wayne, is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's where you've made your entire life.
It really is. It's just how it has worked out. We started within a small appliance store, and my husband worked more into the commercial aspect of refrigeration and things like that. So we actually at one point bought a home center, and he was working out of there, and then we did lawnmowers, and it just, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on. But it taught us a lot over the years, you know, how to handle a business, how to do the right things, and you learn from the wrong things, hopefully. And we actually got thrown into the antique business, and it's been the best thing we've ever done. I love it. Sure. I say my husband has a real job so I can have fun at this one. But we're open 7 days a week, and it's really just evolved. Our town has evolved into an antique town, so it's exciting.
So what happens is that transition, because we kind of were getting to know you a bit, now we're going to find out about the business. So,
all right.
Because you jumped right in there and said, now you got the business, you're there 7 days a week. What is the business? Where is the business, and what do you call it?
It's National Road Antique Mall. We thought we're on the National Road. We were the only one in town when we first started, so we just, you know, decided, hey, let's call it where it is, because the National Road's important. And we started out in a really big building. Veach's had a second store over there for a long time.
And we're talking about Cambridge City.
Cambridge City, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so we kind of got thrown in by my in-laws to, let's just start this antique mall. And we went around and looked at other ones and things like that. And we thought that it would be hard to get customers because it was new in town and things like that. But we started out with just a handful of dealers. And from the first day, people who love to antique will find an antique store. It's amazing. And it just grew so fast. We have 2 sections to our downstairs, and we thought, well, about a year we'll do the second part. And in 6 months we were full, and people were begging for more space. So it just really took off.
Wow. So you're in the big building now then?
Yes.
And it's on a corner, if I recall.
It is.
And so right there on National Road, Main Street, if you will, in Cambridge City. And it's called National Road Antiques?
National Road Antique Mall.
Okay. And how does that work? Everything in there, is that yours? Do you have vendors? How do you do that?
I have vendors. They all rent space. We rent out by the square foot. Some people have more than one space. But we actually tore out, there were apartments upstairs, and we got rid of all that and made a second floor also.
Wow, so you have a large store.
Yeah, we do. The most important thing for us has been to make it clean and well lit, and we try to be friendly to people, and that works.
So the vendors that come in, they rent space. They bring in their inventory. Are they there?
No, I have several employees right now. They bring their stuff in, and to them it's kind of their own little entrepreneurship.
Sure, that's what I was thinking.
And it's a hobby combined. You know, you have to love it. You have to like going out and finding the things to sell. And it's their responsibility to move their things around and keep it straight and keep it clean.
Sure, and keep it fresh, keep new items in there and such.
Yeah, and the ones who come in and work it just like any other business, they do well.
Okay.
The ones who don't do so well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And yourself, do you have a booth, if you will? Do you have stuff in there as well?
I have some.
And where do you get your inventory?
I go to flea markets. People call me and say, hey, I have a whole bunch of stuff to sell and things like that. I don't have a lot of time to go and sit at auctions, and I'm usually working. So I just get at various places. The fun thing is about this business is that I have an entire store jam-packed full of inventory, and I don't have to have any money in inventory. That's not like most businesses, but it's amazing.
Right. You're a smart working entrepreneur. You really are, because you have a business, you're employing lots of other people, but they're really not your responsibility other than the fact that you provide the location. I mean, you've got to get the people through the door so that they can do their business.
Yeah.
But you're right, you don't have the capital in inventory. I mean, you do have to keep the building, and you have to keep the building nice, you have to keep it running and such, and you've got the liability of people coming and going, so you've got to make sure you're well insured and make sure everything's safe, you know, but wow,
it's a great business. And as opposed to other businesses that we've had, there are no returns, and people are there because they want to be there.
Sure.
They're out for the day having fun. It's their birthday, their anniversary, all kinds of things. They're just traveling through, and it makes for a pleasant experience most of the time.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, because you're right. I mean, if my refrigerator breaks and I have to fix it, that's not fun.
No.
Because it worked before, it works now, and I just spent a bunch of money. Whereas, you know, here, if there's something in there I want to buy, it's going home with me, and it'll be the first time it's there.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's interesting, though, how you bring this together. How many vendors do you think you have?
I have between 85 and 90 at
Really?
any given time.
That's huge. I'm thinking. I mean, it sounds huge.
It's quite a few. I mean, it's a lot to keep track of, but we're computerized, and so, you know, we use our computers as our cash registers, and
How long have you been doing this?
amazing. 16 years. This is our 16th anniversary this year.
In the antiques?
Yeah, we've been in that location that long.
Wow. So I mean, you have learned a lot. You said you took business classes, and there's really no substitute for hands-on. And when you go in there, that's when things happen. I try to explain that to the students often. I think it's important to get the foundation of the classes, but the real experience comes when it happens.
It does. When you're the one doing the bookwork and controlling the cash flow, and, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul in the early years and things like that. I mean, that's where you learn a lot.
Sure.
And you realize what you have to do to succeed. And I think the other major component of any business is customer service. If you don't have good customer service, that creates repeat business and you know, just a great experience for people, and you can't put a price on that.
Sure. But Beth, let me hear you talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people talk about customer service, and every business plan that I read, and I read thousands a year, you know, they'll put customer service, customer service, customer service, but it's more than just saying it. You have to actually practice it.
You do.
And what do you think is the principle of practicing customer service?
You know what, we try, number one, to speak to every person who comes in the front door and let them know that they're important to us, that they're there. And we answer questions and we help them. We don't want to follow people around, make them feel like they're a criminal.
Sure.
But we do want to be there if they need us. And it's kind of funny. We have numbered bins. When people start bringing things up, they'll make a whole pile of stuff that they're going to purchase as they walk around. And when I tell someone, you're going to be number one, their face lights up. I mean, it's such an easy thing to do.
Sure.
You know, but a guy yesterday told me, oh, would you tell my wife that I'm number one, you know? It's fun. And we see men going around carrying their wives' purses, and we joke around with them and things like that, you know. But just giving them the level of service where you're paying attention to what they need.
Sure. So it's the personality. You're bringing personality to it, and I think that is important.
And you know, as an owner, you can have all the employees you want, but if you're not there and put your stamp on it and show them what you want out of your business, because their name's not on the front at the end of the day, yours is, you know.
Sure.
And I just feel like that plays a big role in how we treat people, because I show them how I want people treated.
Well, I get it, and I understand you, and it's fun because you're very much like myself in the standpoint that you have all these vendors, and you may not be selling anything, but they are, and their success becomes your success. You want them to do well, just as I want the students to do well from the university.
Yeah.
Is you know, you're providing that foundation and then letting them grow from it, and I think that's great. When you started this 16 years ago, that sounds so funny. You've been in business a long time, but when you started that, do you remember some of the challenges you might have had?
In other businesses, I remember more challenges than this one, because there is a whole group of people out there who love to antique. And like I said, they find you. It's one of the few businesses where you do not have to advertise as much. And because of our location, we're in the heart of Antique Alley, which runs from like Springfield, Ohio to Indianapolis. It's amazing the people that plan vacations and use you as a destination, because it's what they want to do with their spare time. So it's been, I've learned over the years that my dealers, you know, are my top priority, not my customer, because they need to sell their stuff to be successful.
Sure.
So we look out for their interest first, you know, and then always the customer.
Well, and I'm sure that they can bring some interesting ideas that say, okay, maybe change this, do this, and it'll help everybody.
Yeah. I do a work night every other month where we stay open from 5 to 9, and I feed them, and the dealers come in and they can tear their booths apart and clean them and fix them, and that just encourages them to do better. And they meet each other, and I've got a lot of them who have new friends because they come and they kind of connect at those work nights, and it works out really well. It works out well.
So basically, then you're enabling them to have their booth. They're being entrepreneurs, but they don't have to staff it. They don't have to man it, right? No,
that's the great thing for them, is that they get to just come and go as they please.
It's almost like a co-op, I guess.
Kind of, but they don't. No one has to work there. You know, they don't have to. We don't trade hours or anything like that. We just always have employees there to help sell their items.
See, I think that's a lot of fun. I just, you know, that's entrepreneurship at its best, because you've got all those entrepreneurs interacting, and it's just everybody's bringing something to the table. So that's a good shift as well, because in addition, you're also the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And that is always fun, because you're working with entrepreneurs every day in that area.
Yeah.
So my goodness, you must know a lot of entrepreneurs.
Quite a few, quite a few. It's kind of fun. Several of the people who have stores in town were also in my mall when we started, and now they've branched out on their own, and they've done very well. There's, you know, there's always the warning. People think being in your own business is just so easy, and they say things to me sometimes, and I just want to, you know, trade them overhead and things like that, because I don't think that they understand what all that entails. But I like to be upfront and honest with people who want to go out on their own and start, because it's not simple. If you sell $300, you don't get that $300, you know.
Right. They don't realize the cost of inventory and overhead and
The
just
overhead
even the
and-
time.
Yeah, and then you are tied up in a store, and you can't be out doing the stuff you used to do. So it's different. But in the chamber, I really try not to just focus on the antique stores, probably to a fault, because I don't want to promote my own interests, you know.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, the chamber's of business is all over the western side of the county, so. We're there to try to give them tools that they need to succeed. We spent our first year on marketing, helping people understand how important it is to market your business, especially if you're not one of those Main Street businesses. You know, you have to go a step farther because you're not just right there in the limelight. So
Sure.
we've worked hard on that.
And how do you do that? When you say you work, are you holding workshops and sessions, or
We
how
changed
do you
our
do it?
monthly meetings to just being informative meetings for the membership. They're not business meetings. We just have board meetings separately.
Okay.
It used to kind of all take place together. But at the end of the day, they just want something that'll help them do just a little bit better in their business, you know. So we, at our meetings, we usually have a speaker and try to give them some tools and from some outside people, not just listening to us all the time.
Oh, sure.
It really
sure.
helps.
But that's neat. How many members roughly do you have in the chamber?
We have about 50 members.
Okay. That's great, though. I mean, Cambridge City, the population, I know it's Western Wayne, is that correct? So what territory does it cover?
We're actually called the Cambridge City area, which we
Okay.
kind of include the small towns around Cambridge, Dublin and Milton and Pershing. There's not a lot of businesses in a couple of those towns, but it would be great to include Hagerstown. We have the ability to work together on some things like that too.
Sure, sure. Well, I know I've spent some time over in the Cambridge City area, and it's a fun area. And you can sense when you come into those communities how they work together, and how you get to know the people. It's a lot of times through word of mouth, and somebody tells you about the other person, and it's interesting to feel the passion about the business. And that's what I think makes successful entrepreneurs, is that passion. And so, what has been one of the biggest rewards for you, whether it be at the chamber, whether it be in the business, as an entrepreneur? What do you see as one of the biggest rewards?
To me, it's exciting to see the town just blossoming, and more people are coming to our town as a destination. And so it's so much fun to be creating new things to go on, new things happening. Where the town's building a gazebo in the park that's right across from my store. There's just a small green space there, and we'll be able to start holding music events there and painting, wine and canvas events, things like that, And we have a bed and breakfast now, and we have several nighttime restaurants. And so there's more and more people that are starting to just hang out on the weekends. And that's exciting to me, just to see all that taking place and just watching it all grow.
Okay. And I think I know the answer to this, though, and that's because I was going to ask next about the risk. And anytime we're getting in entrepreneurship, we have to recognize the risk. And one of the risks, I would think, in that area would be the limited population. So you have to make sure you have something for the right, demographic and the right match. But
Yeah, you
what
do.
other risks might you see?
My husband and I we're partners in everything. So he's the big risk taker, so I don't have to do that. I
Okay.
just kind of have to go along with that. But I don't know, the money thing is just always a risk. My husband likes to buy buildings and, do things like that, and that's always a risk. But then you have the opportunity for a new business to grow out of that, and, different things. So, because I'm a woman, probably it's the money.
Okay. No, I think that's true.
It is.
everywhere.
It is a risk. It's getting in your pocketbook.
In honesty, I think that's one of the things that I run into all the time with entrepreneurs. It's capital, having that money, and then where do you get that money? Because a true entrepreneur, they may not have it. And going to a financial institution sometimes is difficult because, they're looking for how do they secure it. and a new business may not be able to secure it. So the capital, the money is important.
It is.
And then if you're going to take your retirement or your life savings or equity in your home or wherever you might be getting that capital, and you're putting it into this, it better work because you can't go back there twice. I mean, it's there once.
I've heard of too many people who do that, put everything
Right.
that they have into something like that, and then they have nothing if it doesn't succeed. So
Right.
I would stay away from all those.
I would
Definitely.
too. And what happens is when I sit down with people in the center is I look at their plan and I figure out what it is they're trying to do. And I think that's the risk side, but there's a whole lot more that goes into the plan. And so we need to look at that and make sure that it makes sense. You
Yeah.
know, again, if they don't know the demographic, if they can't tell me, how many people are below the age of 18 and how many people between the ages of 18 and 25 to 50 and 50 to 65 and 65 and older in a community, they haven't done their homework. Because not everything's going to appeal to everybody. Your antique mall is probably not appealing to the 25 and under market. There's going to be some people coming in, but it's not going to be the huge traffic. So they really need to know who are the people that are coming in there, what's the demographic, how much are they spending. Then they can take a calculated risk to what they put into it.
And see, we kind of learned by trial and error because we'd never been in this business before, but I would say 80 to 90% of our business comes from out of town.
Oh, sure.
It's just, we don't have to rely on the local market, which is it's good and bad. But we're not in a high income area, so the fact that we can pull money from out of town, and this is what I try to get across to the chamber people, they are buying gas. They're using the ATMs to get cash. If they get a discount for cash, there's a few places don't take credit cards or things like that. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on. They eat at the restaurants, and it's helping our whole entire area.
Sure it is.
And it's outside money.
Sure, and I think that's great that you recognize that. And I know you do a lot of economic development for the community, so that's a part of that. Now, when it comes down to it, though, each one of those people have the benefit of your experience of business. So that's great that they get to learn from that and grow from that. So their risk taking beyond the capital is minimized because of the fact that they surround you with you, and that's important, is to surround yourself by the right people. Respect that experience, understand that experience, and learn and grow from it. There's so many things we can't teach out of the book.
There is. And I'll tell you what, I am also on the board of the Wayne County Tourism, and the connections I have made through that board are invaluable. When you're in a small community, you can't just surround yourself in a bubble and not be related to the people around you and the communities around you, because there's so many people now from Richmond who are coming to Cambridge and they've never been there. And they're finding out this whole other side of the county that they really didn't know that much about. They may come to eat or shop and they're finding out there's a lot more going on.
Sure.
So.
But it's interesting because don't ever lose that passion. I mean, that's what's important. You tell a great story. I met you today, okay? And you tell me about what you're doing, and I'm excited now to come to Cambridge City and to visit with the mall, see what's going on there, get to know some people and understand. But that is what your story is. That's the passion. It's not about inventory. You've not said to me one time, oh, we've got this great desk. It's not the desk. It's the people. It's the interaction. It's that passion, that positive feel that you get from other entrepreneurs. And that's why people want to come to Cambridge City. It's why they want to get involved with your business, other people's businesses, and even your chamber. So what's one of the big events for your chamber?
We do several a year. Coming up will be the July 4th fireworks. We do sponsor the fireworks in town, and it's an amazing show for a small town. We have a really big crowd for that. We do Canal Days. That's been going on for 42 years now.
Okay.
Just a downtown festival where it lines the streets downtown, and a huge parade on Sunday. It's a 2-day event. We started a Christmas event that has really turned into just a huge day. It's always the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it's kind of like just a homecoming festival or something. Everybody comes and they're just having a good time visiting, and it's a nighttime thing. We have a parade that's lighted and things like that at night, and we had a circus this year, and it created so much goodwill in our town. It was amazing. People were coming in my store even days after, just thanking us for doing that. You know, some of those things aren't huge money makers, but they are goodwill to the town, and you want to let the people know that you're interested in our own community and that we're doing things there.
See, I think that's great. One of the things that I know is from working with people, they get excited. They have an idea, they want to do it. And when they get that excitement and they get that idea going, I want to just bottle it up and keep it because, you know, it's great. But I also noticed that in a short amount of time, other things start happening and it gets difficult. I mean, it really does. I mean, you had the idea of opening the store. And it sounds like your husband is very much that, you know, push entrepreneur that's out there doing it. You get the idea tonight, he's probably in there tomorrow doing it. But so many people get the idea, they think too long about it, and something happens to where they don't actually bring it to the market. Now, is there any advice that you might give on people to actually follow through and make it happen?
I recently have been attending the events with the guy from Big Car that was here speaking, and the Boost events, and he said something last time that just really hit me about just do it. You may not have everything you think you need, because if you overthink it, you probably never will do it, you know.
Sure.
It's kind of like the things when you get married and you say, well, someday we'll buy a house and we'll have kids. Well, that doesn't always just work out like you plan, you know. Things happen differently. It's the same thing. I told the people in town the other day, I took back that little booklet they passed out, and I said, we're waiting for the gazebo to get done to start our wine and canvas and our music and stuff. And I'm like, we have tents, we have things, let's just do this stuff. You know, we don't have to wait until certain things occur. Let's just start doing them, because it's probably not the venue as much as the event itself that's gonna, you know, help people and bring people out. So
sure. And I would agree with that.
So we're just going to start doing things.
I would agree with that. You know, I often say that I travel a lot, and people around me say, well, I'd love to do that. And I say, then set a date. That's what happens with me. If I say that in July, I'm going to go to South Africa, if I say it about 4 times, pretty soon it's on my calendar and I'm going. If I just say sometime I'm going, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so when I set a date, I do it. And I think that's true. I think that if we just get people to say, okay, do it.
Do it.
And they do.
Yeah.
And even the gazebo, it's about the networking.
Yeah, yeah. There's that's some of the advice I do give people too about being in business. Set hours and be there.
Sure.
I don't care if you open 2 days a week and it says it on your door. I'm open Friday and Saturday. Then be there Friday and Saturday.
Great.
You know.
I think that's great advice. And I want to say thank you again for coming on. You know, both roles as an entrepreneur and as a chamber president, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you very
inspiring
much.
entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
That concludes another episode of In Your Business. Today we met with a very interesting entrepreneur, and you know I can't wait to get to Cambridge City to just see what she's doing. I want to spend more time listening to her, talking to her, and getting to know her. You know, she is there to help so many entrepreneurs, and she has through the mall and through everything she's doing at the chamber. So I encourage you to go to Cambridge City and see what she's doing as well. Thanks again for watching In Your Business.